What's up, everyone? All 49ers Roundtable. Grant Cohn here in the middle, flanked by Ben Meyerson, Jack Hammer, Jose Sanchez, Suneil Gaitonde. This is my last live stream of the week for the next 5 days. I'm going on vacation. It's my wedding anniversary coming up. So let's make this count. Thanks. So we're talking about the 49ers today. We're going to do a special game. It's buy or sell Thursday. So we have 7 topics. They're all buy or sells. If you guys want to jump in and propose your own topic, it has to be in the form of buy or sell. So if you just ask a question, I'm just taking your money. It's just as simple as that. You got to do buy or sell. All right?
Rules.
I'm letting you know right now.
The rules.
You know right now. We got rules.
The rules have changed.
We got rules up in here. All right. First one. Buy or sell the cornerback depth on this team. Suneil, you go first.
Awesome. First of all, congratulations on the anniversary. That is amazing to be able to do. 2 years, man. 2 of 13. But anyways,
we've been together 13 years. It's my second year of marriage. We go back. Anyway.
So as far as buy or sell on the cornerback depth, I'm going to buy the cornerback depth. And the reason for that is I can't name a player in the last 2 years that was on the bench for the 49ers that I can unequivocally say is better than the cornerbacks we have on the bench this season. We saw how Brian Allen played. We saw how Dante Johnson played. They weren't necessarily that much better. The only difference between them and the depth that we have on the bench this season is they're rookies, right? But there's nothing to say that they aren't going to be better players. They were definitely drafted higher. They're definitely people that the 49ers invested assets in. And based off of their tape, they look like people that can transition into the NFL and have great careers. So I believe that the depth at cornerback is just as solid as it has ever been for the 49ers. I'm not saying that it's the strongest area for the 49ers on the defense. Obviously, the D-line, the linebackers, and the safeties are better. However, the corners to me are good enough to play as a part of this defense and for the 49ers to still have a solid defense moving forward this season.
Sell. And if I can say it again, sell. No, we're not buying that cornerback depth. We can't even name who's actually going to be an adequate player in this league right now. Ambry Thomas, Diamador Lenore. I mean, this is actually a good question to ask because the depth is really going to get tested because I still do not have faith in Jason Verrett staying healthy for all 17 games. I mean, he can barely do that for 16 games. Now you're going to say 17 games? Emmanuel Mosley still a little bit ticky-tack here and there. Not saying he's injury prone, but he's also a little prone to that side to, maybe he's going to miss a game or two. Behind that, who else do they have? Even K'Waun Williams. If we forget K'Waun Williams, slot corner. If I'm comparing cornerback depth this year to last year's was better because they had Akilo. They had Richard Sherman, who was at that time didn't look like he was washed up. They had Verrett, who you thought was on the rise. Emmanuel Mosley was looking good. Outside of that, now you just have Mosley and Verrett, and from there on out, it's zilch. It's nothing to be impressive about. So, I mean, we don't even know what these players are going to be yet. So I feel like if you're going to start thinking that it's going to be a faith, you at least see some like the first half season of game or something like that. I really don't have faith in this depth at all. If Verrett goes down, then that pass rush needs to be very, very staunch because otherwise they're going to be picking them apart all season long, or at least that's when they're gone.
I'm going to buy the cornerback depth. In the past, I was a little down on it, but the more that I've looked at it, the more I'm excited to see Ambry Thomas get in there. I think he's every bit as good as Emmanuel Mosley. He's going to prove that out when he gets on the field, throughout training camp and into the end of the season. So I really like that group, that depth that he brings to the table. I think Lenore, he's a little bit more of an unknown, but I think he's going to be able to handle things as well as a backup. If Verrett goes down, which you really have to expect at this point. Last year, Verrett wasn't expected to do anything. You got to remember the year before he had only played like 3 snaps in 2019, and nobody knew what the deal was with him at this point of last season. So they're very much in that same spot, I think, as where they were last year. I think they might, or they might even be a tad bit better because they do have Dante Johnson. I don't think he was on the roster at this point of the season. I think they brought him in after the season started. So I think they're going to be okay. And So I'm going to go with a buy on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell, and I'm gonna sell mainly because I think if this group was completely healthy, I would buy right now. But we know that this group won't stay healthy. Last season, of the 5 starting secondary players, all of them missed time. So I don't think we can expect our secondary to be fully intact. And specifically with the corners, like everyone's been mentioning, with Jason Verrett, he seems as healthy as he has been, like this year and past few years, but even then, how much can you really rely on him for 17 games? And then if him or Emmanuel Moseley get hurt, 49ers are in a really sticky situation. And I would really worry about that injury right now, like I said, because I think if this team was fully healthy, if we knew all the corners were going to play 17 games next season, I'd be buying that. But that seems more like a pipe dream than anything else right now.
I'm always wringing my hands about cornerback. I think it's the most important position, and I think the Niners never really take it seriously. But I'm with Jack. I like Ambry Thomas the more I watch him. I mean, I think that – and I like Emmanuel Moseley. I've always liked Emmanuel Moseley. He's solid. As a number 2, he's probably on the low end. He's a decent number – let's put him as he's a decent number 2 corner. He's not the best. He's not going to shut people down. He's a decent number 2 corner. Ambry Thomas and him are probably going to be the starters for a long time. And now they have Jason Verrett, who, when healthy, can shut down DeAndre Hopkins. He can't really match up with DK Metcalf. Who can? So I kind of like it. I mean, it seems to me that Ambry Thomas or Emmanuel Moseley, one of the two, is going to be a good backup. I don't know what they got in the slot. That's a lot. I mean, Diamador Lenore has to be something. But again, Ambry Thomas can play in the slot. Moseley can play in the slot. I think between Moseley, Thomas, and Verrett, that's 3 guys for 2 spots. You could do worse. So I feel you, Jose. I do. But I think a lot of this hinges on Ambry Thomas. How you feel about it. Because he can do – I mean, if he can do a lot, they're okay. If he's a bust, there are a lot of problems. So we'll see what Ambry Thomas has. And I really honestly haven't seen him much on the Niners practice field. I've just seen what he did at Michigan. He looks pretty good on tape, but –
I liked Ambry when he came out. I don't know. I play more like the cautious side every time with these rookies, especially.
Clearly.
Clearly.
Look, I've been out on a ledge
Look here,
on the
Mr.
cornerback depth for ever since the draft. You could ask Ben, you could ask Jack, and you guys are finally coming over to the good side, and I'm ready for it and reveling in it. You guys will all be there. You guys will all be there by the beginning of the season.
I've been against it, so go away, Mr. Clean.
All right, next topic. Buy or sell, the 49ers have the best defensive line in the NFL. Ben, you're up.
Ooh, so first I just got to acknowledge this for everyone saying, hey, I'm not wearing my suit because I'm moving right now, guys. So stop giving me crap.
I'll allow it.
I see it.
I'll allow it.
Grant's allowing it today. Next week, I'll be back fully
casual Thursday.
Don't worry. Yeah, it's casual Thursdays. We're heading into the weekend, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to buy that the 49ers don't have the best defensive line in the NFL, but I think they could. If they sign Justin Houston or another edge defender, then I would buy them having the best defensive line in the NFL. But I think as currently constructed, would I put them at the best? No, not quite the best. I would put them in the upper echelon of, tier 1, tier 2 defensive lines in the NFLs, but putting them definitively in that number 1 best defensive line in the NFL, no questions asked. I don't know how I feel about that right now, especially considering Nick Bosa's health issue, and we just don't know what to expect from him this season. So, I guess I'm going to be selling on this one. So, I would hate to buy this and be wrong.
Fair.
Which way are you going? This way?
Yeah. You're up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna sell this one. I don't think the 49ers are the best defensive line in the NFL. I don't think they're even right now as good as they were in 2019. They don't have the edge rushers that they had that season. Their depth isn't as good on the outside. They have really good depth in the middle, but their depth on the outside isn't quite as good as it was. D Ford only played so many snaps, but when he was on the field, he was really good. And we don't. It'll be interesting. I don't think Samson Ebukam is going to be quite that good. I think he's going to be good, but I don't think we're going to see him be quite as tough. And when you don't have that all-pro in the middle of the defensive line, I think that's a big negative for them as well. That's going to hurt their pass rush throughout. So I'm going to say sell the 49ers having the best team line in the NFL.
Yeah, absolute sell. Jack hit it on the money. It's like this doesn't even sniff 2019's 2019's talent. I mean, I feel like if you're going to say they're the best D-line, you're talking in projection at that point. You're talking what you project Eric Armstead is probably going to return to be. Nick Bosa projecting that he's going to return to form. But I can go down the list. D Ford is going to stay healthy. There's too many variables. When we said it before about this defensive line, like there's just too many variables of what you're going to count on. Bosa being himself, Eric Kinlaw, is he going to, take that step forward and be somewhat, because he's always going to be compared to DeForest Buckner. Ebukam, who Grant really likes or is hoping for at least, I'm still like edgy. I'm like, what's this guy even going to be? Who knows what he's going to be? As much as I love the interior defensive line, Reese Hurst, Kevin Givens, Kentavious Street, all these players, so on and so forth that you can name, a lot of that's also projection as well, because even there's a lot of rotation and like depth talent there. But in terms of like standout, like dominance, like we're not thinking that. I'm thinking like maybe like a team like I saw Jason mention like the Browns or something like that. But no, the 49ers, sure, could they get there? If you're speaking projection right now, no, they're not even top 3 or top 5 right now.
Clearly, this talk show is all about projection, my guys.
Yes.
So, yeah, all we're doing is projecting. So, yes, I am going to buy that the 49ers will have the best D-line this season. And the reason for it is, one, I believe in our defensive line coach, Kushek, being able to coach up the talent that he has received. 2, I believe a lot of the people that are on the D-line aren't locked up in long-term contracts. A lot of people are on play like one-year deals that need to have a big season to be able to have a big payday in the offseason. So they're going to be extremely motivated. They're going to be looking to showcase themselves in a way to be able to, make the most money in free agency upcoming. 3, I think that Kinlaw is going to have a big jump up, which is going to obviously, help that interior D-line and free up a lot of the guys to be able to make plays around him. I believe Nick Bosa is going to be healthy. I believe Samson Ebukam is going to be one of the best pickups that the 49ers had this offseason. And I believe that the 49ers D-line is going to be legit with the new defensive coordinator. Everything is going our way this year, guys. I buy.
So now your fanboy colors are showing right now. Come down.
Good. And they look good on me, my guy. They look good on me.
Look, I think the Niners have a damn good D-line. Like, in ways, it's going to be better than in certain ways. It's going to be be a really good run defending defensive line. Kinlaw in the middle, he's tough. Armstead in the middle. Ebukam is a good run defender. I think it should be even better at containing quarterbacks as opposed to just letting them out and scrambling and throwing on the run. But that pass rush is not what it was 2 years ago. Having Buckner and Bosa and Ford and Armstead, that was the best 4-man pass rush the Niners have had in a very long time. They don't have that right now. They have Bosa. That's it. Ebukam, he's good at containing. He's an all-around chess piece. He might give you 5, 6, 7, 8 sacks. Who knows? We don't know. Armstead, he's a run defender first. Kinlaw, he's a run defender first. So, no, I don't think it's the best defensive line in the league. Maybe it has that potential. Suneil made a good point. A good case for its potential. But right now, I'm going to say it's not as good as the Rams D-line that has Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd. And I think the best D-line in the league is in Arizona. I think it's the best D-line in the league. But, J.J. Watt has to, stay healthy, which he has the last couple of years. But Chandler Jones, that guy's 15 sacks in his sleep. The Niners are right there. It's not bad. It's very, very good. Hell, really good against the run. Should be improved at containing quarterbacks. Curious about the pass rush, though. But they've already said they want to blitz more anyway. This could be a good defense. But I'm going to sell it. Although, if you wanted to tell me it's top 5, I could see that. I could see that. A lot depends on Bosa.
One other team, real quick, Washington football team. That's offensive.
Yeah, I like the defensive line.
That is the D-line that the Niners used to have.
Them Browns Cardinals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good call. All right, next one. Buy or sell, the Niners will have a top 3 rushing attack in 2021. Suneil, you start this one off.
Yeah, I am 100% buying this. I believe that a lot of people kind of only paid attention this offseason, feeling like the quarterback was going to be the thing that needed to change to be able to get the 49ers back into Super Bowl contention. I was this offseason really focused, and Grant as well. We were talking about how much the running game really needed to get better as well. And the 49ers made diligent, took that seriously, and through their offseason picks as well as who they drafted, really revamped this offensive line and running back core to make sure that it moves forward. And I think it's going to go back to top 3 again. In 2019, they were ranked number 2. Last year, they were ranked 15. And I think they filled all of those gaps that really made them drop in as far as ranking with the rushing attack. So I'm totally buying this. I believe they're going to get back to that just because whomever plays quarterback, whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance, both of them are going to need a top 5 rushing attack, top 3 rushing attack to be able to have any type of success. And I believe the 49ers are going to have success. So that means they have to be top 3.
I gotta agree with Suneil here. No way. I was having fun going back and forth, but no, I'm gonna piggyback on what he said 1,000%. Both quarterbacks, because number one, Garoppolo is a hand-holding quarterback and he's his handheld, so that's number one. You need to get that running game set up to open things up better for him. And Kyle Shanahan to call plays.
Hand-holding quarterback. I'm picturing him walking across the street holding someone's hand. That's good. Dang, that's tough. Yeah.
But yeah, for him, and then with Trey Lance's side, you don't want to just be like, here, 30-plus pass attempts. Like, no, don't do that. Come on. Or, unless the guy turns out he's lighting it up with Herbert. But, who knows? You want to make it just easier. No matter what, an effective running game that it's dominant, whatever, it's going to help your quarterback no matter when. Especially you want a rookie quarterback to ease into things. And even if Lance is in there, then I'm sure they might call him a few run plays. Not so much because they don't want to risk him getting hurt, especially after being scarred with the amount of quarterback injuries they've had the last few years. But it's definitely on the money, what Suneil said. You got a bunch of running back, a stable of horses in there. You can just unleash the offensive line. I expect to be a lot more bullish now. You got Aaron Banks in there. Hopefully that cohesion is going to work with Alex Mack manning the fronts and calling the signals and everything. So I think it'll open things more up and just they'll play more better. And then you got Sermon. There's a lot of talent there. It's going to be way too effective, and it's going to be the premise of what they want to go for this season.
Yeah, I'm buying this. That the 49ers will have a top 3 rushing attack this year. Grant, you and I came on right after the draft, at the end of the draft, and said that the 49ers were building themselves into be a bully that was going to come out and run the ball like crazy with the the depth they built in the running game with the bigger backs, with the big guy that they took to take right guard with Banks. And the guy that's always left out is, and I'm forgetting his name right now, is the guy from New York that they brought Gallman that they brought in. Gallman averaged 2.5 yards per carry after contact last year, which would have been the best on the 49ers among the running backs a season ago. So
big upgrade over Tevin Coleman.
Exactly. Big, huge upgrade there. And so I think that group's going to be much better. You add in Banks, and I just see them coming out, regardless of who the quarterback is, just being able to pound the ball on teams. And really, that's going to help that defensive line that we were just talking about quite a bit as well. So I definitely see them, among the top 3.
Gosh, I hate to agree with everyone. This is so boring. Wow. No, I'm going to buy fully in because to me, when we were going into this offseason, and Grant can attest to this, I was thinking specifically that the 49ers needed to improve their running back room. They needed to improve their offensive line room. And if they could, they should improve their quarterback room. They did all 3 of those things this offseason, and specifically with the offensive line and the running back room, they did that both in free agency with guys like Alex Mack and Wayne Gallman, and in the draft with Aaron Banks, Elijah Mitchell, Trey Sermon. So I feel like this is the best running back room that Kyle Shanahan has had since he's been with the 49ers, and I think this might be the best offensive line room as well. And along with the addition of Trey Lance and all the dynamic thing he's going to bring, and the fact that I believe he's going to play a significant amount of games this year, the 49ers better have one of the top 3 rushing attacks in the NFL. If they don't, there's something wrong. And if you going back to 2019 really quick, if you look, they ran the ball like 51% of the time. And if you look at that RG3-led team back his rookie year, they ran the ball 51% of the time. And they were only second to the Ravens that year, like Suneil was saying. So I think it's going to be like 2019, but with even better personnel and with Trey Lance inserted. So, yeah, I'm buying full in on this.
Yeah, they have the potential to lead the league in rushing. It was them and the Ravens 1-2 2 years ago. I think the Ravens are trying to rush Lamar Jackson less and less. Haven't they said that? They want to use him more like a regular quarterback. That too. Right. So that's where they're at. They could be dialed. They ran the ball for 3,000 yards last year. They ran the ball 550 times. They could dial that back. The Niners could be the leading rushing team. I think that's their goal. I think their goal is to lead the league in rushing. Just from all the moves they've made. They came close 2 years ago. But I'm not going to sell it, but what would hold them back? They're very deep at running back. First of all, if Jimmy Garoppolo plays, ain't happening. If he's a starting quarterback, no, my opinion. I know they came close with him. The other thing is George Kittle has to stay healthy for most of the season, if not the whole thing. Because I know Trent Williams is great and Aaron Banks and McGlinchey in the run game, but Kittle's their best blocker by far. And when he's on the edge, it's just like a free 7 yards when Mostert's back there too. Really. So I really have questions about Kittle's durability. We don't talk about it very much because there's no insight. He broke his foot running, kind of a freak thing. But is he going to keep doing stuff like that, or is he going to start putting together Travis Kelce type years where he's just super consistent and available? If so, then this should definitely be a top 3 rushing team in the league. Yep.
No question.
Okay, buy or sell Justin Houston signing with the 49ers in 2021. Ben.
Ooh, so for Justin Houston, I'm going to buy this specifically because I think with the position the 49ers are in right now, they have enough free cap space to be able to go out and grab a player.
And again, I'm saying like buy or sell is in the sense like, will this happen? Not should it. Will it? Sorry to interrupt you.
No. I'm glad you pointed that out. I was going to say specifically, if you look at the cap right now, they don't have enough room for a Melvin Ingram type or one of those perceived higher end players. So they want to add another edge rusher. Justin Houston has to be the guy to me because if you look at him the last 4 seasons, 37.5 sacks, he's performed year after year. And just on passing down specifically, he's a guy, you don't want to practice him too much. You just want him in those third down scenarios, those obvious passing situations. So I think he's definitely a good fit for the 49ers. And I think it's a good fit for Justin Houston, too, because I think it's the kind of place where he could have enough opportunity where he's still going to be playing in the league, a couple years after this. So I think he could put together an 8-sack sort of season with the 49ers, similar to like how we saw Kerry Hyder last season put that together. And like I said, I think the opportunity is there for him versus some other teams where I don't know if some of the other teams who are looking at Justin Houston need him as much as the 49ers do, or they're not in as good of a winning position as the 49ers are. So I'm buying this.
I'm gonna sell this. Although I think Justin Houston is a guy that the 49ers need to bring in, I don't think that it's actually going to happen. I don't. Right now, they don't have the cap space available to get that done. They've got to get the Warner deal done. Garoppolo kind of takes up so much of their space. I don't think they have the money to bring him in at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sell this one with the caveat that it is something that they definitely should do because they need to get that depth on the outside.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, Jack. I'm selling this as well. Plus, I don't see the 49ers really much like looking as a team that even last year when the Super Bowl, before all the injuries really took a hit, when they signed Ziggy Ansah at that time, they were really like pushing pennies at that time, trying to figure out who they were trying to add, and there was still other talent they were looking at. And this year, it's kind of the same thing. Like Ingram's definitely out of the reach in terms of salary. Houston, he probably is going to come for like cheap, like vet minimum, whatever, such like Ben said. But I just don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to look for maybe someone gets cut, like a promising young talent gets cut in camp at some point, and then they pick him up and try to hope Sarah can mold them, fit him in somehow down the line, and hopefully that gives them a spark. Because really, like even when they traded for who's the Jets pass rusher they brought in last year in the middle of the year, when they traded for him. Jordan Willis. Yes, they brought him. So they looked for like all these avenues of ways. Like they didn't go for like up and beyond. Which I guess let's say Houston's top of line, the best one out there. But he's still like he can give them a little something, like you guys said. I just don't think that's the 49ers like line of thinking. So I would just sell this.
Yeah, I think that the 49ers have made multiple moves on the D line, and they're pretty secure there. I think it's one of the deepest positions that they have. So bringing in Justin Houston would just be more of a luxury. I really don't think that they're going to make any big moves like Jay Sanchez just said until midseason. And they're also getting Willis back in the middle of the season after his suspension. So they're even going to be even more deep there as well. So I really think that no big moves are going to happen until they end up getting Garoppolo's contract off the books. I believe that's going to be sometime this season through trade, and then maybe they'll make some moves to bring in people. But as far as the D-line, I feel like it's going to stay what it is right now. They've added a lot to it. I believe they feel like they have the right combination right there. So I am selling Justin Houston will play for the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd like to. I'm sure the Niners would like him, and I'm sure it would make sense, but I don't know if the timing will work out, just as you pointed out, Suneil. It seems like they got to get rid of Jimmy first, and they're going to take this to the deadline, and the deadline could be the trade deadline. If they really are intent on getting the most offer, the best offer possible, they could really, really wait. And so I think do you guys anyone else get the feeling that Justin Houston doesn't want to do training camp?
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Right at this point of his career.
He's like, okay, I'm just going to wait and make my – didn't Davian Clowney do the same thing last year? I don't want to do training camp. That sucks. I'm going to make my decision. Okay, fine. So the Niners have some time here. They could be in play here late August or September. But, if they get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo after the first preseason game, they showcase him, he plays well, they trade him, they could do it. They could definitely do it. So do I think they're going to do that? Let's say yeah. Let's say they're going to do that. Let's say they're going to fool us all, just like they had everyone fooled with Mac Jones. They're going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo after week 1 of the preseason. They're going to get Justin Houston week 2. Why not? I don't know. Let's say sure. Okay. Real quick before we move on to the next topic, Richard Sherman news. Real quick, I just want to. It's not bad news. He was released today on his own recognizance. He faces no felony charges, but 1 count of misdemeanor criminal trespass with a domestic violence designation. Malicious mischief, DUI, resisting arrest, and has another hearing Friday. So no felony charges. This seems to be like he's not going to spend a lot of time, if any time, in jail. He's been ordered not to see his wife or his father-in-law. He should get the help he needs. Hopefully this has a happy ending for everyone involved. I just wanted to update people. Anyway, that's it. Okay, back to buy or sell. We have 3 more. Buy or sell, the 49ers will sign Jordan Matthews to play tight end. He was at tight end university. He's been on and off the Niners roster for years. He knows Kyle Shanahan very well, knows the offense. Probably the kind of guy you could bring into camp and cut and put on the practice squad. Who goes first?
Is it on me?
Yeah.
I'm going to sell this as well, just because I feel like the 49ers already have a lot of depth at tight end. And I believe in Ross Dwelly, just like Grant says. So I don't know where Matthews would fit into this. Obviously, he's put on some weight. He's doing all those nice videos of him on the scale and whatnot. He's training with Kittle, and maybe that has some kind of play to the ear of Kyle Shanahan or whatnot. But I just feel like it's just another body. I don't know how it fits in. I don't know if he would make the actual team, and if that is the case, why even bring him in and mess up giving those reps to other people that are already on the roster? So for me, I'm selling this.
Yeah, I'm a believer in Dwelly too. I just don't think Kyle Shanahan's a believer in Dwelly because he hardly ever uses some, even though I think he should definitely see a nice little spike. Maybe not a dramatic spike, but at least a little something. Give a little sprinkle of more like snaps in his games. But for funsies, I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna buy this because I think he wants to add that imaginary double tight end duo of receivers. Because even though there's no way you're gonna put Matthews on the line. First of all, that guy's gonna get trucked by anyone, that guy's going to look like McGlinchey last year if you put him on the line to block or do anything, regardless. They're going to chip him. They're going to throw him off the line. But I think it would be something fun that you could try to picture. I'm not saying Jordan Matthews is this elite or this great player, but hey, maybe a tight end, you get a linebacker matched up on him. That probably suits him better for probably like half the linebackers in the league. You just mess around with both Kittle and those two. I think it'll just be more something they want to do, like a passing essence. Because other than that, you're not really gonna, think about run blocking. Hey, Jordan Matthews and George Kittle double team on this end so we can rip off Raheem Mostert to the side. Like that's not gonna happen. Well, I definitely could see something just like, hey, you got the vet, especially if Trey Lance plays. Those two were building rapport with each other a little bit during those pro days, and maybe something off on the side. I don't know. It's just something fun that you could probably think of. At least that way you have like that second. If they did pick up Matthews, he probably would be the best receiver next to Dwelly, one of those two, and he might be used more than Shanahan. So I think that'd be something just that they would want to play with.
I'm gonna go ahead and buy this one. This goes back to everything that we've talked about the last couple, as we talked about this throughout the offseason, where Kyle Shanahan has an affinity for that second tight end to be a really, big receiving threat. And although Ross is boss, I agree with what Jose says, is that, he just doesn't seem to believe that himself. So, and when I said, Kyle Shanahan, he's continually looking for a big play, second tight end. If Matthews can prove that he's with that extra weight, that he still has the speed and he can block a little bit, I think he's the guy that they'd be interested in. They've seen him run routes. They've seen him catch passes from Trey Lance. He was at the second pro day. He was one of the guys out there receiving, catching those balls from him. So I think this is one that could really work out on the 49ers, working out in their direction, where this would be a buy for Jordan Matthews ending up with the 49ers at some point.
Like a lightweight Jordan Reed.
Yes.
So I'm going to sell on this one, and specifically because I think if you look at what the 49ers have done with the tight end position recently, last offseason they did try and address that second pass catching tight end with Jordan Reed, right? But then you look at the moves they made this offseason, they pick up Michael Pruitt, who's more of a blocking tight end, and the 49ers have had many opportunities to be able to go after really good pass-catching tight ends like the Kyle Rudolphs of the world. Zach Ertz is available. So I just feel like the 49ers would have done something about this already if they did want that next pass-catching tight end. Now, listen, if they're going to bring him in and it's going to be a camp sort of thing and they cut him right before the season, I could see that happening, but just with the way the 49ers have gone about the position recently, I'm not buying this.
I'm not buying it either. I'm not buying him as a tight end. He weighs 234 pounds. Okay, you're not going to block on the line. You could be an H-back. You're a big slot receiver. He was always a big slot receiver. Always. Oh, he's 234 pounds. Okay, that's cool. That's Jalen Hurd. To me, he's Jalen Hurd. So if Jalen Hurd gets hurt again, I think they might bring him in. But until then, it seems like they like Mohamed Sanu, Jawan Jennings, and Jalen Hurd, and Jordan Matthews might be fourth in line, like the first guy off the bench, off the couch. But yeah, tight end Jordan Matthews. I guess I wouldn't really say so. But was Jordan Reed a tight end? No, not really.
Not really.
If you could ask him to block, he's not going to block anyone. You can give him an assignment.
In fantasy, he was.
In fantasy, yeah.
Well, so is Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Taysom Hill on this team, he might. I just don't think a lot hinges on Jalen Hurd, right? They're really leaving the door open for him to do something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they want him to do something. What is Jordan Matthews coming in at right now? What's his weight?
234. 234.
230. Okay, so
Dwelly's 240. 6'5". Yeah.
235. He's 35.
Hey, Ross Dwell, that might be old. I want to see what Ryan. He looks 245 to me. He's a little.
The 49ers have him at 235. That's why. Hey.
And he blocks his ass off for whatever he really puts in effort. I'd like to see Jordan Matthews get in a 3-point stance and block a DN. I'd love to see that. I would love to see that
because I already know he's going to get chucked.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing, but we'll see. Okay, two more. Buy or sell the 49ers defense can survive DeMeco Ryans growing pains, as severe as they may be. Ben.
I'm gonna buy on this one specifically because I think the 49ers have a very talented defense, and DeMeco Ryans has been working with a lot of these players, specifically Fred Warner, since he's entered the league. So I think considering the personnel that the 49ers have right now, the kind of experience they have, not only with DeMeco Ryans, but with Chris Kurseric, with the rest of this staff, I feel like it's going to be a more comfortable fit, at least at first, than the Robert Saleh fit was, because there's more carryover, there's more consistency. So I definitely buy into the idea that they can survive his growing pains, especially, like I said, with how talented they are. They have high-end players at almost every single level in the defense. Jimmy Ward, Jason Verrett, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. Teams would die to have guys like that on their roster right now, let alone have one at each of those three levels on the defense. So, yeah, I'm going to buy into this, that they can definitely survive DeMeco Ryans' growing pains.
I'm going to go ahead and buy on this one as well. I think the 49ers have done a good job. First thing I'm going to say is Ben was right there, that this is a continuation. It's not like the first year of Robert Saleh where he had to come in and totally build that defense and really create that whole thing. This has already kind of been built. So he's just taking it and tweaking it and putting his own little stamp on it. Plus, the 49ers have done a really good job of bringing in guys with defensive coordinator experience around him and I think that's going to help him out a little bit. He's got guys that have done that job in the past. You look at their schedule, I think that plays into their benefit too, because otherwise, if it wasn't the Lions and the Eagles in weeks 1 and 2, I would say that I might be leaning more towards a sell, especially early on. But with that schedule they have early, I think they're going to be okay. And by the time they start getting into the tougher teams, he's going to have his legs underneath him and be ready to go.
Yeah, I really want to buy this, but for argument's sake, I'm going to sell this. I'm going to sell this because I feel like if you have to overcome your defensive coordinators, or even, well, let's say your defensive coordinators' struggles, growing pains, deficiencies, whatever, at the end of the day, you're going to need an adequate pass rush, a very good pass rush. And I look at the Arizona Cardinals with Vance Joseph, who doesn't know anything, survives because that defensive line is really, really good. The 49ers defensive line could be really, really good, but I don't have faith in the edge rush. It's just too much of a mystery with Nick Bosa, D Ford, Ebicom, and all of them. Without a pass rush, even as great as Fred Warner is, as much as I love Dre Greenlaw, the safeties, the corners are okay. I just don't know how they're going to be able to stay in coverage. Could they survive him for a time? I don't know. I'm snug. I think at the end of the day, if you're painting a picture of it, I don't think they're going to be able to survive him, especially if he's like calling like all-out blitzes if he's supposed to. He's sending Warner, sending Greenlaw, whoever, Al-Shahir down there. Too many holes that they can pick apart in offense. I think at that point, even if it does happen, I'd be worrying about having it a snowball effect where eventually DeMeco starts feeding into the players maybe, or DeMeco starts getting frustrated and calling out of his mind, because that's one thing we don't know about him is if he's going to be controlled when he calls after when he gets a string of plays that don't work, or is he going to be able to set himself apart from that? But I think because it all kind of hinges on the edge rush or just the pass rush is in general being able to save face for him.
Whew. Let me just try to brush off all that negativity that Jose was just spewing for the last 45 seconds. Oh my gosh. Like, I am totally buying that the defense is going to be fine, because I don't believe that DeMeco Ryans is going to have these huge growing pains. Like Jack was saying, he's going into a really good situation, and he's somebody who has the resume to be able to be a really good defensive coordinator. The position that he played when he was in the league was middle linebacker and the decision maker as well. So he was being able to read offensive. He was calling the plays for his team, and he was on parts of defenses that were really, really good. So I think him moving into this role with all the talent, and it was funny, Jose just listed how he thought that all the players on the defense were good, but somehow they were going to be bad because of DeMeco Ryans' bad juju or whatever it was. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, good players are good players. It's not like DeMeco Ryans is going to reinvent the wheel. They're going to be a little more aggressive, but they still have the same type of talent. They still have the relatively same overall scheme. They're coming off from being a top 5, at least ranked defense last season. And they didn't lose anybody that really made a big impact last season that they didn't replace or upgrade with this season. So for me, I believe that this defense is not only going to do well under DeMeco Ryans, it's going to thrive under DeMeco Ryans, and we're going to see these guys flying all over the place and really being, one of the top defenses in the league.
He does have a lot going for him in the sense that he's not going to be changing much of the defense. He saw what Robert Saleh did with these players and is going to probably keep a lot of it the same. He's got Nick Bosa coming back. The addition of Ebicom is nice. And he's got Fred Warner. Let's not discount that. Fred Warner is almost like the coordinator of the defense. He's the best middle linebacker in the league. He's the quarterback of the defense. He does a lot of the stuff on the field. He calls the plays. So that helps to have him. That being said, I still think a couple of games are going to come down to an adjustment that he needs to make, DeMeco Ryans. And I don't know if he's going to make it in year 1. Because Saleh didn't necessarily. I don't think that Saleh made an adjustment that I was aware of year 1 that won a game. Or year 2. By year 3 and year 4, he was definitely doing that. That's kind of like something that comes with experience, I would guess. So while the defense should be good, it should be really good. I still wonder about, if DeMeco costs the Niners 1 or 2 games just because he didn't adjust quickly enough on the fly in the heat of the battle, because that's what the Niners were really benefiting from the last couple of years, is a defensive coordinator who could do that, who was as good as anyone. So we'll see. We'll see.
That's gonna be good.
Yeah, exactly. All right, last topic, and then it's time for me to go on vacation.
Yeah.
Buy or sell the Seahawks being the toughest matchup in the NFC West for the 49ers.
Is it Ben or is it me?
I think it's you.
I like it's you.
Cool. So I'm actually going to sell this because I believe the team that's going to be the toughest matchup is remarkably going to be the Rams. And the reason why I think it's going to be the Rams is I think Matt Stafford is a good quarterback. I think he's an upgrade from Goff. He was the reason why Goff was the reason why the 49ers were able to have so much success with the Rams these last 4 games that they've pretty much been undefeated against them. Matt Stafford is going to be more deliberate with the ball, give them a bigger ceiling than they had with Goff. And also their running back that they have, the Cam Akers, is going to be in year 2. He obviously came on really well in the last half of the season. They're just a really talented team. They have a really strong defense. They have, superstars on multiple levels in their defense, superstars on offense. So I believe that's going to be their toughest matchup. Whereas the Seahawks are pretty much just a one-trick pony in my books right now.
Yeah, I think once again, I'm gonna sell this. I'm gonna go for argument's sake because I like the Rams one. That's probably that's also my most exciting. I think I really want to see the most because I think that's gonna be a shootout at the very least. I'm gonna go and say obviously the Cardinals because that's the only team I can pick. But the Cardinals because the last 4 games that the 49ers have played the Cardinals, even when they were dominant in 2019, they didn't cakewalk against them. The only time they cakewalk was the first half of Halloween, the first game in 2019. And even then, they almost choked that lead and eventually almost came back. The second game, they almost dropped that one as well. And then obviously they definitely laid an egg in week 1. That was atrocious. And then the fourth game, that was a nice battle. You had Verrett finally. I think everything just kind of came together and they were just frustrated, just wanted to end it on like a good note towards the season's end and such. But I think that's going to be a good one because you have so much talent you have to go against, even though like the coaches even though Cliff Kingsbury, Joseph, and their staff, they don't do a whole lot to really enhance their talent that much. It obviously proved to be enough to struggle against Saleh and Shanahan in terms of scheming like the last 4 games. So at least that's a respectable level. Like, oof, that's going to be a tough one for them to go against. And then even with DeAndre Hopkins, you wonder if Verrett can do the same thing. You wonder if he'll even be healthy for that game when that rolls around. And then Kyler Murray, again, I think he's the better runner than Russell Wilson. He's the best runner in the league. I mean, in the division at least. And that defense, like you said, they haven't been able to contain. I mean, who does contain quarterbacks that well? But I feel like Murray always gashes them pretty tough. I feel like the only way he's going to work it out if he gets hit early and is a little scared to run. But other than that, I think that team is just way too loaded for them to try to really – they really going to have to put on one of their best efforts to make it a game for them.
Yeah, I'm going to sell this one. I don't think it's the Seahawks as far as the toughest matchup. I think this year the toughest matchup for the 49ers is going to be the Rams. The Rams, other than the one game down to Los Angeles, have actually matched up pretty well with the 49ers throughout these games. And in both of the games last year, it was really Jared Goff that cost them the game. In the first game last year, or the second game last year, or in 2019, that was Jared Goff missing wide open receivers as well. So I think when you look at this, with the one weakness of their offense, they fixed that when they went out and got Matthew Stafford. I know they don't have the depth necessarily that maybe the 49ers or some other teams in the division do, but their top flight guys are some of the best. Jalen Ramsey is one of the best cornerbacks in the league, if not the best. That makes everybody else in that secondary better. Same thing with Aaron Donald up front. So I'm putting the Rams as the best team in the NFC West.
I'm going to buy that the Seahawks are the toughest matchup for the 49ers this year. And specifically for me, I think the Seahawks are going to be around the same level that they were last year. I don't think they got much worse. But I think if you look at the rest of the teams in the division, I wouldn't actually argue that the Cardinals have gotten much better. I know a lot of people are hopping on the Cardinals train this year, but AJ Green hasn't consistently played the last few years. I know JJ Watt's a great leader, but I don't know how much they can expect out of that guy for the next few years. And then with the Rams specifically, me and a lot of people have been jumping on board with them. But the one thing, as I think more and more about this with the Rams, that I think is going to be a huge issue for them is their depth. If you look at their roster, they got gutted in terms of their depth this offseason because now they're spending 25% of their cap on their quarterback room. They're on Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford combined. And then when you have the high-level guys like the Aaron Donalds, the Jalen Ramsey of the world, you have to pay those guys a lot of money. So if you look at the Rams roster structure, they're so top-heavy and dependent on that talent at the top of their roster. If they falter at all, I think things could look really ugly for the Rams really quick if they get an injury in any key spot. So I would really worry about that. And then, like I said, with the Seahawks, they haven't proven to me thus far that they're going to fall off the wagon yet. And I know people keep waiting for them to fall off that wagon, but hey, similar to Tom Brady, I'm just going to keep betting that they'll be there until they aren't.
I'm going to keep going with Arizona. I know it sounds crazy because their coach is Cliff Kingsbury, and we all agree he's the worst coach in the division. But I think the thing is, I really like Kyler Murray, even though he doesn't see the field that well. I still think he's really tough to handle, and he's cheap. And the way that the Cardinals have used that money is pretty much on the defense, and that's what I don't think people understand about this team. That defense 2 years ago was the worst in the league. Now they got Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt, Jordan Phillips, Marcus Golden. They have Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, Budda Baker. It's a really good front seven with one of the best safeties in the league and some decent corners that should be playing behind a monster pass rush. So people don't think about that defense. I think Arizona, if that head coach can figure out what he's doing, but it's a very, very difficult division. You guys made very good points. It's time for me to go on vacation. But before I do, I want to leave with this thought. A lot of people are in here like predicting what news is going to break when I'm on vacation, because that's just how it goes. Some people are saying, will Fred Warner sign his extension? I'm thinking, yeah, because I'm looking up like George Kittle signed his extension officially a year ago today, August 15th.
Was really that
today. He was putting pen to paper. So, I mean, it could get announced in 3 hours.
We're about 12 days from training camp. We're right in that zone. So, hey.
Fred, if you're watching, please don't sign in the next 5 days. Just don't.
Just wait till Tuesday
Jimmy
or Wednesday.
Garoppolo, veto any trades that they try to do. Put your foot down and say not until Tuesday. Please. My goodness. I'm sick, guys.
Grant, you coming back with that tan out in San Diego, baby?
Now all the stalkers are going to find me. Thanks a lot.
My bad.
I'm just kidding.
Damn, Renee, you already ruined it last week.
Ruining everything, man.
Suneil, I can't trust you anymore. All right, guys.
You're going to have to mute him at the end now.
Good show, guys. Thanks for everything. I'll be back next week. Have fun doing stuff without me. I'll see how the world goes. I think it'll go just fine. All right, everyone.